What are your thoughts and comments about the Baltimore Sun articles about your situation? And again, this is the 11th question.
Yeah. So here's the thing. There's the story about like my book, and then there was the fact that I brought up this fake black-owned business thing. The way that the Baltimore Sun wrote that article, it was one of the most biased things I've ever seen in my entire life. When they get confronted on this, they're going to try to excuse away every single bit, right? But the one thing that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that they wrote a biased article was the fact that they included language from a demand letter that has no legal standing. It's just a piece of paper, but refused to allow language from our legal complaint in there, which started this entire thing. And here's the thing that pisses me off about what the Baltimore Sun did. Yes, I have an issue with busboys and poets because of what happened with my book. But I also have an issue with them because they're falsely advertising themselves as a black-owned business, which, aside from the fact that I am actually, like, black, and that, like, disgusts me, I wrote an entire book critical of the type of person who would misrepresent themselves as a completely different identity in order for them to profit off of it. When I'm talking about bias, they included negative reviews of my work. That they said that I had an issue with the feedback of my work, and all they included in there was negative reviews of my work. And they said they're reluctant to speak, that I'm reluctant to speak about it because of the feedback that I received. When I'm talking about the feedback that I received, and this goes to the journalists because they knew exactly what they were doing. When I'm talking about the feedback I received, I'm reluctant to talk about it. I'm reluctant to talk about it because I don't want my family being harassed. I don't want to get doxxed. I don't want to have like messages telling me to kill myself over my work. Aside from the fact that there's this issue that's going on with my book, they let this dude blatantly lie to the public. So he said, we never wanted to be enlisted on any of these black-owned business lists. I didn't know about this until this happened. I always identify myself as an Arab or as a Muslim, but never black. Dog! He said in an interview with the Baltimore Sun, quote, I identify much more with black culture. 2020, he participated in Black Restaurant Week. He got called out for it, and they responded that they're proud to be an allied partner of the initiative. So they literally just used the Baltimore Sun to lie to the public. And he said that they never wanted to be included on those lists. He literally lied to them. And what did the Baltimore Sun do? Nothing. They made the entire article about my book. The title of it is Busboys and Poets Get Sued for Discrimination for a book that their staff said was anti-trans. Completely ignoring the fact that they're also getting sued for falsely advertising as a black-owned business. They buried that in the article. Now, here's the thing. The reason why the article got written in the first place was because I put together a petition with 1,200 signatures. There's over 500,000 views across social media platforms of me explaining how they've been falsely advertising as a black-owned business. We're talking about the black community right here. Okay, these are two separate issues, but they refuse to do anything about the fake black-owned business thing. They made the entire article about my work. 500,000 views. Not once did I mention anything about my book. The reason why they're there was because of the fake black-owned business thing. That article, that TikTok that I put up that encouraged the Baltimore Sun to get in contact with me about the story, I didn't say anything about my book. If you ask the people who signed the petition, what about Jordan's book? None of them know about it. They don't care. And the issue is what the Baltimore Sun did when they decided to not cover that as a major part of the story was they sold the entire black community down the river. They said, screw you. Because the guy who put this together is a transphobe. And we're gonna do everything we can in this article to make sure that the public believes that this book is transphobic. So your concerns as a black person about a company misrepresenting themselves as a black-owned business is not valid at all. They sold the entire black community down the river to support, and I'm just gonna say it, to do PR work for a major Democratic donor. This guy has certifiably donated tens of thousands of dollars to Democrats. He hosts events for Democrats consistently. I am under no illusion that had it not been for those donations and fundraising, then they would have been called out in the media like they should be. But what the Baltimore Sun did was they made the entire thing about my book. I'm tired of watching as black people are used as a pawn to win elections. I'm tired of watching this thing happen. It happens constantly. And when, hey, we have this issue here that needs to be addressed, their response is, we prefer this minority over the next. Your concerns are not valid whatsoever. I told them, here's where they lied. You guys are journalists, right? You're supposed to hold the powerful to account. I know what they were doing in that Baltimore Sun article. They were trying to delegitimize the story. That's why they buried the fake black-owned business thing under accusations of transphobia. Now I'm going to talk about my book. That exact thing is a major theme in the book. I've had multiple people come to me and tell me that they got to that Busboys and Poets. I've had multiple employees come to me and say that. I didn't ask to be a part of that. But they told me, they were just like, I'm encouraged by the fact that you're standing up to these people. So when I say like the Baltimore Sun like sold the black community down the river, people are looking for accountability. And I know that a lot of people, look, when the Baltimore Sun got in contact with me, I was just like, great. An unbiased news outlet is going to hold these people to account. Yeah, they're going to talk about my book. That's fine. 1,200 people are looking for answers. The black community is looking for answers. And they sold them down the river to protect busboys and poets. When that article first came out, I was furious because this thing is way bigger than just me. But then they decided to make everything about my book. None of the people who signed that petition care about my book. None of the people on social media know about my book. I wanted to keep these things separate. The owner decided to bring this thing up. He decided to say in that article with the Baltimore Sun that, oh, he's just looking for publicity for my book. Over 500,000 views on those social media posts. Not one of them was discussing my book. Aside from the YouTube one, which was a year ago, not one of them was discussing my book. He decided to make this entire thing about my book, and the Baltimore Sun were like, you know what? I agree. We're going to make this about your book.
Did any other news and journalist agencies cover your situation besides Baltimore Sun?
There were multiple outlets that got in contact with me about doing the story that was involving the fake black-owned business thing. After the Baltimore Sun did the article, every single one of them pulled out in the story. So essentially what the Baltimore Sun did was assist a major Democratic donor in covering up a crisis for them. They tried to delegitimize every single thing. Not to mention, they were like, oh, well, you know, the Yelp thing. It's like they didn't bring up the buyblack.org listing. They didn't bring up the fact they didn't like really address the fact that like their employees are telling people that the place is black owned. And the other thing is, this guy, the CEO of Busboys and Poets, Andy Schlull, was shown evidence that his company, whether intentional or not, was indeed siphoning money out of the pockets of people who wanted to specifically support a black-owned business. And what was his response? None of this is my fault. It's not my fault that like these places call this place a black-owned business, even though he said, I'm going to pander to the black community. He said that. He said he wanted to put a black people welcome sign in front of his company. He named his place after Langston Hughes, Busboys and Poets. He was told by black activists, don't name your place after Langston Hughes. It's disrespectful. He did it anyway. He was shown, and he didn't even apologize for this. If he actually supported the black community, he'd be like, oh my God, our company's been siphoning money out of the pockets of people who want to support black-owned businesses. We never wanted to do this. We're going to be working on transparency. We're going to work so that people understand, hey, you know, maybe I said that I identify much more with black culture. Maybe that was a bad quote. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But here's a list of great black-owned businesses to support. We want you guys to trust us. We're a trustworthy company. Yeah, the employees said if my employees are telling people that the place is black owned, that means that I did something wrong here. But his response was, not my fault. We never did this. This is coming out of nowhere. This guy who's doing this is a transphobe. He's unapologetic about the fact that his business was siphoning off money from the black community. It's, talk. Like, you did this. Take a bow. Congratulations. You created a business that people believe is black owned. And you got millions of dollars off of it. I remember like Rachel Dolezal, it was like the white woman who told everyone that she was black. She got torn up in the media for what she did. She didn't profit off of it. Andy Schloll, on the other hand, has made millions of dollars profiting off of black culture. And the Baltimore Sun did a good job of delegitimizing the very legitimate complaints.
This is a nonpartisan issue, but how will Democrats and Republicans take on your situation and case if they were to hear about it?
I'm concerned this is going to be turned into a partisan issue because I have spent time trying to speak with nonpartisan outlets. The nonpartisan outlet that I spoke with did one of the most biased jobs possible. And again, it just happens to be that this place is Democratic donor. Like, I'm under no illusion that people are going to try to turn this into a culture war issue where it's like the liberals and the conservatives, and like, when the liberals are going to be like, well, it's transphobic, and the conservatives are like, well, these guys are falsely advertising this is black-owned business. How about we just drop the partisan crap? This should not be an issue of partisanship. It should be an issue of those with integrity and those without. And the concern to me is that people are going to say, hey, you know what? He donates blue, and he hosted a inaugural peace ball in response to Donald Trump's inauguration, and he fundraises for Democrats, so we're just going to let him get away with this. We're going to side with him because Jordan is the transphobe. So then, it'll just colorize every single interaction that I have, because it's pretty clear to me. It's pretty clear to me that in order for me to get a fair shake, I'm probably gonna have to just speak with more conservatives. And then when I speak with more conservatives, the narrative is gonna be, he's speaking to conservatives. Like, if everyone knew everything that I know about this guy, they'd be like, yeah, get rid of him. It's going to be more of the Republican versus Democrat thing, when it should just be a question of those with integrity and those without. And they're going to use that narrative that my book is anti-trans to delegitimize every single thing that I'm saying after that. But what's going to end up being said is, it's because he's a transphobe. This guy is a pillar of virtue in the community. I'm sorry, but I was born and raised to be very cautious of people who make a show of how virtuous that they are. Let's just do like a racist check for a second. If there was like a white guy, he's like, hey man, I support black people. I love black people. This, that, and the third. They're all great. When everything's good. But then it's like, hey, you know, that person cut me off, or they did something that I didn't like. And then it's like, that guy's an N-word. You'd say, hey, you're actually racist because when push came to shove, you decided to go to the race thing. But when you look at what this dude said, when he said, there's a name for a black person who does the bidding for the oppressor, that is essentially admitting out loud, it's like, yeah, you're a racist. Like, you're good with black people until they disagree with you. And then when they disagree with you, now there's an issue. Don't defend this type of behavior because he hosts like a bunch of black artists. There's a name for a place that's racist behind the scenes, but profits off of black culture. You know what that place is called? It's called the Cotton Club. And that's exactly what Busboys and Poets is.
Is there any last minute things that you'd like to say?
Last minute things to say.
Last thoughts.
Last thoughts. I want to go to court. I want to have their arguments put on trial. When I had initially brought this case up, I didn't ask for a nickel. I didn't ask for a nickel for over a year and a half. All I wanted to do was have my career. They accused me at work of being transphobic. They accused me of being racist. My thing is, we go to court, we put those opinions on trial. I think that's the best thing for my career, because my career got stifled in its tracks. In the news article with the Baltimore Sun, they said they were suing for $7.5 million. And most people would be like, well, you're suing for $7.5 million. Where did you get that number from? I'll tell you exactly where I got that number from. 2 months after my book came out, there was a book called Yellowface. Yellowface is about a white woman who pretends to be Chinese in order to sell copies of her book. Shoots at the very peak of representing like Chinese culture and makes a bunch of money off of it. And that's the plot of the book. That book came out 2 months after my book came out. That book went on to sell 1.5 million copies. That book proves that this culture, that the United States has an appetite for a book that deals with someone misrepresenting their identity, shooting up to the very peak. I mean, it's culture relevant. I lost out on that opportunity. They were going to be promoting my book to tens of thousands of people, a dedicated email blast. And one of the things that every single literary agent asks for is comp titles. Just so happens that 2 months after my book came out, a New York Times best-selling book came out, millions of copies. I lost out on that opportunity with how they broke my contract. It stifled the initiative that my book had, and not just that, but like every single book festival in Columbia goes through busboys and poets. So in order for me to promote my own book, I'd have to leave my own hometown because busboys and poets came here and discriminated against me. So yeah, we're suing for $7.5 million. It's $5 per copy. I didn't ask for a single dime for over a year and a half. My number one concern this entire time has been my book. And then the fake black-owned business thing, look, number one thing, book. I've never shied away from that. However, really close second is I am beyond disgusted by what this dude did with his company. This company has been siphoning money outside of the black community. Like, black culture raised me. Being black is half of who I am. Like, I am mixed race. And that part of me is screaming out right now. And it's not just me. There are thousands of people on social media that are looking for accountability from this dude. So two things can be true. I can both want my book to sell. Of course, I've always wanted my book to sell. That's the reason why I got in contact with them in the first place. Very close second. This place is actually really disgusting. As far as activism goes, I never really wanted my career to be an activist's career. I got drafted into this. I got conscripted. So now I'm doing it. I don't want to be an activist. I don't want to be like, hey, we need to. No, I'm not that person. At the end of the day, I'm just an artist who got put into circumstances that were beyond my control. I had a duty to the culture that raised me. I have a duty to the culture that gave me the perspective that I have.
Well, I'm going to say thank you so much again for coming on to this interview. Today is December 17th, 2025. And I hope you prevail through this and you get a chance to live the best life you can live.
Cool.